Episode 142. Yeah, maybe turn up a little bit there, Paddles. Just a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's perfect. Okay. Termites. Episode 142. So many things. So many things. What are we starting out with? Well, what are we drinking? I'm drinking this, the Tailgate Philly Standard Punch, because this came backstage at the Borgata. I forgot to say, too, somebody made the coolest clock ever at the Borgata and said, as Madigan's Pubcast, there's an LED light. I didn't plug it in and stuff yet, but it's being mailed. Yeah. So if you sent that, and because there was a lot of effort put in, it's going to go right there instead of my broken Anheuser-Busch horses. They're broken. I got to find it, either someone to fix that, or, because when it lights up and stuff, it's very cool, but it's very old and it's broken.
Otherwise, you can donate it to me.
I could donate it to you. I could do that. So that's what we're drinking. So many things, but let's just get to what are we eating. Well, this is from a termite. This is very interesting. So I love Lay's potato chips, as everybody knows. She found these, I think it's a she. Yeah. Sumo? Is that right? Am I reading that?
Grocery store.
Yeah. She found it in the, I think, Sumo. Okay. Anyway, she found these in an international, I did not know there was an international market in Dallas. But anyway, they're Lay's, and they have Chinese writing on it. It says made in China, and they're Beef Wellington.
Oh, what? Nice.
Yeah. And she gave me some Bigfoot stickers.
Nice.
Oh, my God. That is the only Lay's I've ever tasted that's better than the original.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It actually tastes like beef.
You have to move to Asia.
Wow. Wow. Well, yeah. These are great. I'm going to have to go next time I'm in Dallas to the international market. Wow. I didn't even know Lay's was, I don't know. I thought it was more just an American thing. No. Are they in Canada?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
But you guys don't even like them. You like the other ones.
Old Dutch is better.
Old Dutch. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Well, these are delicious. Well done. And speaking of Lay's, this made me laugh really hard. This is from Pat. I don't say last names just in case people don't know. Hope this bag makes you smile, but according, chocolate is not the answer, but according to your dad, a big bag of Lay's is. And look at this. It's a Lay's purse.
Stop it.
A Lay's potato chip purse. Yeah.
No.
Which will go super well with my new Taco Bell slides, which I will be putting on Instagram. And then my friend Avi, who's helping me build stuff out in the yard, was like, he came over to check on stuff, and he goes, "Are those Taco Bell slides?" And he said they were Crocs. I'm like, they're not Crocs, they're slides. And yes, I think he was super jealous. This is adorable. This will now be in my suitcase carrying something. Chargers, maybe.
For gambling.
I'm not giving it to my dad.
No.
Who's doing better, by the way.
Good.
Yeah, it's going to be a project. Jackalope's going to be, he's been my summer project. Let's get you back in the game, Jackalope. Mm-hmm. And my mom's very tired, but everything else is fine. So some termite sent me this. This made me laugh, too. Beagle socks. I looked for the El Chapo cat socks, but unfortunately didn't see any next time. This is from Kim, and a Bigfoot hat. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I haven't got to, and the post office ladies are yelling at me, and everyone's yelling at me, but I've not been very organized, except for my shows. Yep. I've been organized off to, by the time you hear this, I'll already have, no, I'm on my way to New Hampshire.
Right now.
Right.
You're leaving right
yes,
now.
I'm leaving, well, right now after the thunderstorm. This made me laugh really hard, too, and then we'll get moving on. This came from Mike in New York. And it says Possum Way. This will be hung up here somewhere, too. It's like a license plate material, like a street sign. And it's very cool. There was a thing on Instagram, a nature thing I follow or whatever, is a picture of a baby possum and said, "We are your friends." They can withstand like 8 rattlesnake bites, so we get a lot of our anti-venom from them, and then all the good things possums do. They do wonderful things.
Right.
So everybody, I'm going to read this one next week. This is a wedding invitation. Now,
Too bad they don't look so bad.
well, their teeth just look aggressive.
Yes.
But after I held that one backstage, It's the sweetest thing ever.
Come on.
I'm serious. This came from a termite, and I don't know who, because everything is very, well, it's not anymore. I've cleaned a lot up, but I didn't have the time. I'm really excited. It's dirty mustard, some sort of sauce. It's from Portland, Maine. There's another city I gotta, I tell the agent folks, let's get back to Portland. I love it there. That's where I saw the most beautiful boat ever. It was named Kathleen, and I think I should be able to steal it.
You should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's had my name on it.
Right.
What, Coast Guard people looking for proof.
Here's my license.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. It's hot. It's like a Carolina barbecue sauce.
Really?
It's really good.
Nice.
Yeah. Old time Southern hospitality, smoky and tangy. Yeah. The martini of mustards. It's delicious. Wow, 2 out of 2 this week. Well done, termite. Well done. I may eat another bite of that before we get back. We got to get going here. So many things. I've even decided Queen TayTay is going to get her own little podcast from me. I'm going to review, because I think a lot of termites don't really care about Taylor. Paddles, it was the greatest night of your life.
I'm stepping on focus.
You and 73,999 other children.
I have new 12-year-old friends.
I'm going to do a review, though, because so much of it, it just was a phenomenon. I can't, I try to think, and I'm just going to do a separate one. So if you like TayTay,
Yep.
I'm going to do just 10 or 15 minutes, extra little bonus podcast. And then for the people that are like, I don't really care about her, you don't have to sit through that. But if you want to hear about what it was like from start to finish,
The weekend.
then whatever we'll title it, TayTay review or Taylor review. It was just, it's inexplicable. All I do know for sure is I'm glad I'm not another woman out on tour.
Right now.
Because right now, I would have said to my agents, can we go when she goes to Europe? Get the hell out of Dodge, because you're not, like Beyonce was in Nashville. She got some coverage, but it's not going to be like Pink's out there.
You are actually on tour right now.
I don't count. Comedy never counts. All those country people are out there.
Yep.
By country people, you know who you are. You know who I mean. I don't know. Miranda Lambert was in trouble now
Yep.
for yelling at some people. I don't blame her.
No.
Honestly, the people, these ladies, I don't know what it's like to stand up there and sing songs. I know what it's like to talk and whatever. I honestly, people are going to take pictures. People are going to take videos. I ask people not to. Just because once it goes on the internet, like let's say I hate the picture of myself, it's just there forever. But whatever. And people sneak and do their things, and it's just expected. But these women stood up and faced the audience, so they were very close to the stage. Their backs are to her, and they're taking selfies while she's singing.
Right.
That is rude.
It's totally rude.
Yeah, I don't know how much. I mean, at least Miranda didn't have something thrown at her. A lot of people are just getting shit thrown at them left and right. Like, I guess you should be thankful for that. But should people be allowed to? But I would not do that. I would not stand up with my back. That person is here.
Right.
Miranda Lambert can see you. It's like in comedy, we always go, I can hear you. Like when there's people going, "Wah, wah, wah," it's usually Drunky the Clown's overstimulated. I don't get it as much now that I do my own shows and people buy tickets to see me, but I went through it in the clubs for 15, 20 years where people just, but that to turn your back and then just act like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't disagree wholeheartedly. I think she's kind of right. That would be fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like, it's just they're acting like she's not there.
It's totally rude.
It's just rude manners. Right. It's not good manners. Now, did you pay for your ticket? Can you do whatever you want? To an extent.
Right.
It was a slow song. Everybody else was sitting down.
Right.
And now you're blocking other people because you're going to do your selfie machine. So, Queen news, except for TayTay, and I'm going to go over the countries on the extra bonus podcast to review the Taylor Swift show. the countries that are begging Taylor to come because she changes the economy. We went in Denver. $28 million in revenue was there, and the Yankees were in town. Holy shit show. And my friends Bob and Clark made their own shirts. I'll tell you all about that. And then because we're old, we're not familiar about the trading policies. And I gave Bob a mirror ball necklace, this one. And then some kid was like, I'll trade you this or that. And then he's like, well, I don't know. I mean, what do we? I'm like, no, Bob. When the children demand it, you have to do it. That seems to be the running speed here. If that child wants your necklace, you pick something off her that you want, and then you say, that's what I want. And you don't sit here and negotiate and blah, 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 blah. And the other, this will not be part of the TayTay, but I was standing in line to get, I just didn't want a beer, and Bud Light makes this pink lemonade seltzer, which I thought would be good. No, it's way too sweet. Heads up. For you people who think it might taste like a pink lemonade Cosmo. Yeah. No. And they only let you buy cans that are this large. So it's going to be hot 3/4 of the way down. But I was standing in line, and I thought, is that my friend Mandy Matney from the Murdaugh Murders podcast, who I've then since met in Charleston at my shows and gone out to have a drink with her and her husband, David. And I thought, nah, that can't be. And then she walked around, and I saw her again, and it was Mandy. Fun. Yeah, I took a picture. I forgot to post it. I'll get on it. So I'm going to save this one for the, it was just.
We just got our voices back.
In a brief thing, she played for 4 hours. So for everybody who spent all their money, you got beyond your money's worth.
Yeah.
And
it was crazy.
I'll say the rest of it on the bonus one because I know a lot of people are like, they're not really over the moon about all Taylor Swift.
Play it for your kids.
I will say this, though, for the people that are older listening to this podcast, all of the words that Taylor sings are empowering, and they are defiant, and all in a good way, and they tell those kids, don't put up with any shit, here's what you're going to do, and then they sing them back like an anthem. And, I mean, they watch out because there's 73,000 in each city. They're going to grow up and find a partner, and that partner is going to be shocked at how much self-esteem this one has. Holy crap. Hey, can you take out the trash? Well, that depends. How many things do you think you've done today? Like, they're going to be little hot wires. But it made me laugh because they're all singing words of empowerment, and I thought, my age, I didn't even know what I was singing. Like, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. Yeah, no. What? Right. What am I singing? It made no sense. Nothing. Never been to the desert at that point in my life. I don't have a horse. If I did, it would have a name. None of it fucking made sense to me. Dreamboat Annie, ship of dreams. Like, I don't know what these people mean. I don't know half of what Stevie's talking about. In the still of the night. Okay. And we just went along with it. But the words they weren't written for us.
No.
They were written for them.
Oh, yeah.
I did like Billy Joel one time where he said, he's a very literal guy. Like, I'm a literal comic. Like, I tell things that actually happened and I actually witnessed or I was part of, versus you can get the Maria Bamford comic, who I love and wish I could be more like. I'm just not like that, where it can be really out there. And Billy Joel said, yeah, I'm just a literal guy. Like, I write exactly what I've experienced. He brought up, like, America, that band that sang, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. Billy was like, what does that even, I don't even know what that means. Why would you write that? He said, so I'm like, but our people my age, we just did whatever we were told, basically. We were not defiant.
The crowd was very nice.
The crowd was so nice and so polite, and everybody was in a good mood. And between me and Bob, we probably got up and disturbed our row probably 6 times. Well, over 4 hours, I drank a giant pink lemonade seltzer.
You guys got...
I had to go to the bathroom.
You got drinks for us. It was great.
I got the drinks. Yeah.
I did not leave.
No, you didn't have to leave. That's what's great about having somebody who's kind of into it. I'll go stand in the merch line. I'll go. I'm interested in all of it.
I bought you a sweatshirt.
But they were so nice, because sometimes at concerts when you go, excuse me, sorry, people go, like I left it the wrong. I try to be polite and wait till the song breaks, like, and then not. But yeah, the children, very polite. I'm just telling you, their self-esteem is jacked up. It is so jacked up.
It gives
Yeah, I'm very hopeful. And I got to say, well, I'll say it all in the thing. Anyway, moving on. Dolly Parton.
Thank you.
Dolly Parton and Queen
Thank
News.
you, by the way.
You're welcome,
There
Paddles.
were
Yes.
many comments, and it was
Yes,
awesome.
it was,
This is mind-blowing.
it was, yeah, unforgettable.
I'll work for free forever.
I'll try to save up and see if I can get you a ticket to Tokyo.
How about Paris?
Yeah, anyway. Dolly, Queen News. Queen Dolly has surpassed over 200 million free books given to children. Yay! They crossed the 200 million thing. And she also does not want to be a hologram when she's dead. Nope. She wants to be remembered for the music. She did an interview with the quote Independent. I'm not really sure what that is. She probably didn't care either.
The Irish Independent, isn't it?
No.
Yeah.
No.
She was over there.
No.
You keep saying she wasn't over there. She was there.
I believe that she was there, but she was not at the party where 1,100 people in the town of 5,000 dressed up like her. And Shania Russell, that doesn't sound like an Irish name to me.
True. Fair enough.
Yeah. 77-year-old says she has no interest in being a hologram. I think I've left a great body of work behind. I have to decide how much of that high-tech stuff I want to be involved with just because I don't want my soul here on this earth. Oh. Deep. I never thought about that.
How about when she's still alive, like ABBA?
No. But think of the money you could make for all the nieces and nephews if you were to do a hologram. But so far, they have not perfected that. The Whitney Houston one bit the dust in Vegas.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was terrible. I've never followed up on my own podcast, and I should, about did the ABBA one sell? Did it work? I don't know.
Go see
Taylor
Taylor Swift in London.
Swift in London?
And then we can go to the ABBA thing.
The what?
The ABBA exhibit.
Go to the ABBA? Yeah, I'd rather go to the ABBA thing for a night.
Okay, well, we can do both.
I realized how many Taylor songs I don't know when you're there for 4 hours. But it was so funny to see the kids around me. 20s. They're in their 20s. Some little kids, some, I kept looking around to see if there was a parental beer garden that I could sneak into like I did at Blink-182 with my friend Scott. Speaking of London, well, I'm really talking about Elton John. He did his final show.
Sad times.
I'm putting him in the Queen group for this week.
Yes.
Yeah, even though I don't have a cutout for him. And I think he would take that as a compliment.
Absolutely.
His final show, it was in Stockholm, Sweden, which I thought was a weird place to end.
Yeah, I'd end in London.
I would have ended in London.
Yeah.
Then all your friends are there, but maybe he didn't want.
No.
Maybe he didn't want all that.
No, he wants to go home.
I don't know.
He's already in his pajamas.
What a journey and a tour this is. Now we find ourselves at the end of it. It's so sad because he's still so good.
Yeah.
But I do get it. I mean, I feel like that half the time now. And I'm 20 years younger than this guy. He said this is the last time he will still do shows, but he's not doing these giant tours traveling around the world. I think the husband has said, FYI, I don't know if you remember, we adopted these, or however, we somehow
Had babies.
had 2 children, and they're here, and you're not. And they had children and changed our lives in 2015. We sat down with their school schedule, and we said, I'm going to miss too much of this. He has 2 sons with David Furnish. They look to be, I don't know, like 10 and 12 or something like that. There was a picture of them somewhere. They're very cute. His tour featured more, he did more than 300 shows, more than 6 million fans around the world. And he headlined the Glastonbury Festival as his final UK. Well, I guess if you do the Glastonbury Music Festival, that should be your last UK stop. But then I would have went to London. I don't know who organized this. But he gave this speech. I saw him in Nashville, and it was one of the greatest shows I've ever seen in my life.
Amazing.
It was amazing. And I really didn't think it would be. I just went because I'm like, oh, well, he's quitting. I've never seen him. I should go once.
It was unbelievable.
Well, I mean, now that I knew what it was, I wish I would have bought seats on the floor because no, I didn't stay, and nobody sat down anyway. I would have stood up the whole time, even though I'm short. I could have got an aisle for the shorties. I think they should reserve aisle seats for people under 5'2".
That's a good idea.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do.
That's it. I don't have any of the Queen news. Stevie's out there.
Cheers went real quick.
I might try to go see Stevie on my birthday.
Yay.
My birthday weekend. I took off.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's either Stevie or golf.
You should. Or golf.
Stevie might quit. Well, she says she's never quitting. Dolly says she wants to die on stage mid-song. So she's never, no, she said that. So she's never quitting. Cher, I feel like there's rumblings, and I have secret sources in Vegas that Cher might be coming back to Vegas. And usually my little rumbling termites are right. Mm-hmm. Usually.
She's amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Update! This one. You're going to be for every moment of joy you had in Denver paddles, you're going to have to suffer now. Yep. Update, Elizabeth Holmes.
No!
You know,
I hate her.
people talk about white privilege.
She's in prison and I still have to hear about
She's in prison and you're going to still have to hear about her, like Martha Stewart's prison journey. We had to hear a lot about that.
I like Martha.
But I enjoyed it all. And I enjoyed, as my mom, I'll never forget my mom going, oh, she's a ne'er-do-well. Exactly. I go, whoa, my mom put it on Twitter. I'm tired of hearing about this ne'er-do-well. No, I called my mom. I could have Googled it. It means someone who thinks they're of importance, but the definition was brutal. Like has no significance or relevance to anything known to man. Yeah, clearly my mom does not like Martha.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. She's wonderful.
Well, because Martha was a beauty queen. Everything was handed to Martha.
Martha is Snoop's best friend.
She is Snoop Dogg's best friend now, but Martha grew up with a lot of privilege. But anyway, when people say white privilege, that definitely is that is the thing. I get it. But really, it's rich people privilege. This Elizabeth Holmes thing, this is about money. She got 2 years already shaved off her 11-year prison sentence.
I don't even know how that works.
And they're like, well, they won't talk about it. They can't talk about why. But I'll read it. One of them's good behavior. How do we know you're well behaved? You've been here less than an hour.
Right.
And whoa, look at her sitting in her cell, not bothering anybody. Cut a year off.
Crying.
She has apparently been behaved well enough during the first 6 weeks of her to be eligible for release nearly 2 years ahead of schedule. So if we do that every 6 weeks, she should be out by Christmas. Seriously. Take 2 off for every 6 weeks.
I don't understand.
Well, no. She'll be out by May. No, it's bullshit. Somebody called a favor. Look at all the people in the documentary that she ended up that she took donations from or believed in her. Fancy pants. Now, they may be mad at her because she jacked them out all that money. Yes. But there's probably a few that are sympathetic that went, well, I didn't really care about my $200,000, so whatever. I'll make a call. Yeah. The U.S. Bureau, they project that she'll be released from, she's 39 years old. She'll be released on December 29th, 2032. That would be 115 months or slightly more than 9.5 years after she began her prison sentence of 11 years and 3 months. Now here's the bullshit line. Okay. She can qualify for early release under the federal government's good time guidelines. Her projected release date, a few weeks before her 49th birthday, is in line with a prisoner serving her length of sentence. Bullshit. You know how many people are sitting in there for drugs and crap? Exactly. That they don't ever get their prison. This is a phone call. She had her mom and daddy call after she cried all day that they came to visit, and he went, "I'll do what I can, honey," or somebody did it. Yeah. They won't say the specific reasons because they're citing privacy, safety, and security.
Because they're bullshit.
Right. Every inmate earns good conduct time and is projected in their projected release date. What? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's what happens when you got all this money.
It's awful.
Yep. Friends in high places.
Awful.
I mean, she knew everybody. The Clintons, everybody. George Shultz. Yeah. And then the grandson of him. Well, anyway, you guys have to go into all that if you want to, but you should. Which, speaking of, I'm going to forget this because I didn't write it down. What we're watching, what I did sneak in, so the serial killer, Gilgo Beach guy, architect guy, there's a thing on Netflix called Lost Girls, and Gabriel Byrne plays the head of police, but it is the exact story of what happened, and how the cops messed the whole thing up, or really, at the end of the day, didn't give a shit because they're prostitutes.
Right.
So people don't care. They're not, well, there was a toddler involved, but I think it was a child of one of the prostitutes, so then nobody cared about that. That's why. And they're white. I think most of them were white. He's white, the serial killer guy. But, prostitutes, nobody gives a shit. But anyway, it's an hour-and-a-half documentary, and when it was finished, they still hadn't caught at all the Go serial killer. So at the end of it, it says, this is unsolved, this is weird. Yeah, 10 years, there was a gap where nobody did shit. Yep. Some new DA came in and said, this is ridiculous, I'm reopening this, and then new people came in. But then I was reading about...
Probably as a result of this, though, too.
Yeah, I think this spurred it. Yeah. You look like lazy fools who didn't give a shit. But then when you read about the real cop that was the head of everything, played by Gabriel Byrne, who was awesome, and he's still so handsome. I mean, he's old, but he's still gorgeous. He's a handsome man. That guy ended up in a federal prison for having sex with hookers while he was working, but not just that. He did way worse things to end up in the federal prison, but he was just a piece of shit. And then he left and nobody went, hey man, why don't we try to... Nobody cared.
Right.
That's bottom line. All right. Update! Wow, this is crazy. This is one of our traders.
Oh, man.
No? Paddles?
Elizabeth Holmes.
We are doing the work of the Lord here, and we have a responsibility as American citizens to report. Well, you're half Canadian. Justin Trudeau would agree with me. People need to hear the end of the story.
Trudeau. Oh my God. Yeah, I care. Yeah, I care.
We have a constitutional responsibility. I just made that up.
It's a civic duty.
A civic duty, more appropriate.
Yep.
Neighborhood watch.
Yep. Neighborhood watch. Shut up.
After a courtroom outburst, Florida music teacher sentenced to 6 years in prison for her January 6th felonies. Wow. You should see her, too. Yeah, she ain't young.
She looks like an educator?
No, she doesn't look like a teacher. She has on a very flowery dress. I don't know what I would peg her as. If I saw her, I would not. She looks a little rough and tumble for no.
Cards.
Yeah, I don't know. The flowery dress is confusing.
Okay.
A Florida music director who unleashed an unexpected verbal tirade at prosecutors and the media and the federal government at her court hearing has been sentenced to 6 years. She's 54. Her name is Audrey Southard Rumsey. She's a one-person wrecking crew, and added a terrorism quote terrorism enhancement to her sentence. She was accused of being an agitator who was in the front of the mob as it swelled towards the speaker's lobby, as members of Congress who were hiding inside. She also is accused of screaming vulgar threats about Nancy Pelosi and was charged with pushing police and at one point using a flagpole to push one officer. She was found guilty on 7 charges, but wait, it gets better. During a dramatic 15-minute statement at her sentencing hearing, she pushed aside papers that included a set of prepared remarks, so she threw her speech out. Oh. She instead blistered prosecutors, calling them liars, and then accused the Capitol Police, whom she'd allegedly confronting, of being terrified. Well, I would have been terrified if I'd seen this lady running at me with a flagpole. I'd been like, holy shit.
Exactly.
Grandma is fired up, and I'm getting out of here.
Grandma mad.
Turning periodically to the face of the prosecutors and the courtroom audience who were seated behind her, she told the judge, I wanted to tell you exactly what you wanted to hear, but I won't. I won't lie. These are vicious lies. I'm like, they have her on camera.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
People, you forget. It's 2000, well, at the time, 23. Everybody's got a phone. Everybody's got a camera. She accused Antifa of filming her amid the Capitol riot, said, my whole dream of my life has been taken because people have different politics in mind. No. I think it would be funny if somebody in the courtroom just went, okay. Every time she says something. I have grievances, but they won't listen to us at the polling place. They don't listen to us little people in the regular world. I'm ashamed of this country. When you decide to throw me in prison for doing my duty, think of what I now have to give up. You shouldn't have done this. There's cameras.
Yeah, it's bad.
She criticized gas and grocery prices. She just turned into my mother halfway through her speech.
Exactly.
I would have been like, whoa, is Vicky Madigan here? Do you have any idea how much chicken is right now, Kathleen?
One breast.
No, Mom, I don't, but you're going to tell me and I know it. She said she's terrified about what's happening in this country. Her defense attorney approached the podium to urge her to wrap up her remarks. She did not. She kept going. When she returned to her seat, the federal prosecutor urged the jury to not allow a customary federal court leniency at sentencing for acceptance of responsibility, because she did not.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. The judge criticized her and other January 6 defendants for cloaking themselves in patriotism.
Oh.
He cited some vulgar language attributed to her, including profane and threatening language she had directed at former House Nancy. She said, "Tell Pelosi we're coming for that bitch."
Oh. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people are on Team Pelosi, just as a side note.
No, I can't say I'm in love with Nancy Pelosi either, but I'm not going to go to her job and take her hostage.
No, her job.
Wherever your office is. I'm tired of looking at Nancy. I'm tired of looking at Mitch McConnell. I'm tired of the old turtles. But I talk about that in my real act. She said, "I won't protest because I'll be in prison." Why protest? You guys don't listen. Oh, my God. She declined request departing the courthouse, but she turned to reporters and said, "You're all fucking liars. You should be ashamed of yourself." Audrey is going to have a lot of time to think about all this. Matter of fact, 6 whole years. Maybe like Elizabeth Holmes, it'll get cut down to 4 for good behavior in a month.
I love that she's got his formal name, Audrey.
I know. Update! 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 This is crazy.
I'm sure.
And I listened to it. It's super cool. The BBC claims to reveal the voice of the elusive street artist in a new podcast series after unearthing an interview he gave to a U.S. radio station nearly 18 years ago. Whoa. Yeah, they think they know who it is. They think it's this guy, Robert Guggingham. I'll read it when I get to it. I forget. Guggingham, something like that. But I listened to it, and the man in it sounds, I don't know enough about local accents in England, but he sounds like he's from the same street as Adele. Because he does the, I thought it wasn't coming, I think.
Like Cockney accent.
Yeah, whatever that is. But anyway, this interview, the snippet is taken from All Things Considered news show on National Public Radio in 2005, just days after the street artist had hung up his work inside the Met. He walked in to the Met and hung up a painting.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, he's going to tell you how he did it.
Okay.
The rare interviews heard for the first time in the UK on BBC Sounds. So there's a 10-episode podcast if you guys want it.
Oh, cool.
A series on Radio 4. It's called The Banksy Story. And
We'll put it in the show notes.
We'll put it in the show notes. I think we should be able to get that somewhere, right?
On the internet.
On the internets?
Yes.
Can I go on the worldwide internets? The resurfaced chat follows decades-long attempt to reveal the graffiti maestro's identity, which has been shrouded in mystery since he first emerged in the late 1990s. They've identified him as Robert Guggingham, a former public school boy who grew up in the suburbs of Bristol, but this has never been confirmed by the artist or his inner circle. Nor would I ever do that if I was him.
Right.
Right now, you have the perfect life. He can walk into any pub and have a beer. Nobody knows who you are.
Right.
Because I thought that about TayTay. That whole thing is so insane. Once you're noticed, you can't. And then people always go, "But you're a millionaire." Yeah, I get it. You can have all the money in the world, but once you're a prisoner
Of your own life.
you're liable to go crazy. So I'm kind of proud of TayTay for not going crazy. So this guy right now, normal life.
Yes.
Keep it. And so in the interview, they say, "We assume that you are who you are because you say you are, but how can we be sure?" Banksy, we'll just call it Banksy. He said, they call it a Bristolian twang.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh.
Where's that at?
How lovely.
Giggle it, Paddles.
Where's Bristol?
Bristol. And he said, oh, you have no guarantee of that at all, meaning you may not even be talking to Banksy, you damn fools. But nobody ever asked me how to prove I'm me when I do a podcast.
Bristol?
Bristol.
Is,
It's in England.
I'm looking for something that you would know. Thornbury.
How far from London?
Oh, my God.
I don't know where Thornbury is.
All right.
I've only been to London.
Bristol, UK.
I've never gone out in the country.
Stand by. Ooh. You have to go through Slough and Swindon.
Slough and Swindon.
Yeah.
I have to go through those to get to Bristol.
2 hours and 15 minutes.
2 hours and 15 minutes. North, south, east, or west?
Due west.
West.
Uh-huh.
Heading towards Wales?
Nope.
Just heading west. All right.
Don't try to sound like you know where you're
Well, I know Wales is southwest.
Is it by Scotland?
No, Scotland is north. Because I've been to Scotland. And I know 2 comedians from Wales. And one night we got drunk and they explained to me how the whole thing works.
Okay. It's south of Gloucester.
South of Gloucester.
Gloucester? London.
Anyway. All right, now we know.
Nobody cares.
That's where we think he's from.
Yeah.
In the NPR chat, the alleged Banksy said he sees himself as a painter and decorator and claims he likes to glue his work to the walls of institutions such as the Louvre in Paris because you don't want to get stuck in the same line of work your whole life long, do you? The host asked him how he gets into institutions and hangs his work without permission. This is kind of true with a lot of shit. People don't know this. Yeah. He said he replies he's been reading books about Harry Houdini. Like, I won't get into details, he said. But he's got some good tips for artists. I think it's a testament to the frame of mind most people are in when they're in a museum. Most people don't really notice things and let the world go by. For instance, in the Met, they hung a Henry Matisse painting upside down for 42 days, I believe it was, until someone told them it was the wrong way. All right. I was aiming for at least 42 days, but I didn't get that far. Asked if he works alone or if he has without permission or does he have any help. I do. He does work alone. He said, I don't want to bring other people into that. He added, I thought some of them are quite good. That's why I thought, put them in a gallery. Otherwise, they'd just sit at home and no one would see them. If you wait for people to latch onto what you're doing, you'll be waiting forever. You might as well cut the middleman and just go put it in the museum yourself. Yeah. Well, I've painted things. Maybe I'll try to just take one down to the Frisk Museum in Nashville or maybe the St. Louis Art Museum. When he is told what he's doing illegal, he replies, that's what makes it good fun. And during his early years, he was anonymous due to fear of being prosecuted for his street art. Now he paints covertly to protect the air of mystery and stay out of the spotlight. His work, which usually makes strong political statements, has appeared all over the world and sold for millions at auctions. The new exhibition we talked about on here in Glasgow last month, it was his first one in 14 years. So, yeah, he just snuck in. But there's something to be said. You guys can go listen to the rest of the podcast. There's something to be said for if you do something with confidence, there's a good chance no one will stop you.
Right.
Like, well, I don't want to encourage it. No, but there's people backstage there's so many people.
Do not encourage it.
I'm not encouraging it. I'm just saying there's so many people backstage that I don't question anyone.
Until security does.
Well, security might, but I mean, I'm wandering around back there too. I'm just looking at shit on the walls. It's not like I don't know. My friend Scott Kennedy, a comedian who passed away, Scott was the king of, and we never did anything bad. And even when we were rule breaking, I was very nervous. But Scott said, it's all about confidence. So we got this gig one time in West Virginia. It's called like Snowshoe, West Virginia or something. It was the world's only, quote, upside down ski resort, meaning all the condos were at the top of the mountain. So once you got up the mountain, you just stayed up there and skied. I thought it was a great idea.
Great view.
Yeah. But Scott was lazy and kind of a little chubby. And he didn't like to, he always wanted to park close. So he goes, watch this. And he had made these badges up, these laminated. He goes, put this on. I'm like, I'm not putting that on. You're doing something bad, and we're going to get in trouble, and I don't want to go to a West Virginia jail. Stop it, Scott. Stop it. He goes, we're not going to get in trouble. in a Texas accent. And he rocks up to the booth, and he said, I forget what the owner's name was. Call it Danny
John.
Guggenheim. No, like he had a name or something. Well, I made up Guggenheim, but Danny Cunningham.
Okay.
Scott rocks up and goes, hey, how y'all doing? You having a good day? He goes, my dad's going to be so excited to see you guys out here working your asses off. I'm Steven. I'm his son. I'm just going to go on in there. And they were like, oh, hello, Steven. Hello. And I was sitting there like I'm part of some highway robbery. I said, who's Steven? He said, his son. All you got to do is Google it. And I said, well, how do you know that they don't know Steven? He goes, how many people, Kathleen, in a giant thing like this have ever actually met the owner's son?
Right.
So he just took on the identity, and we pulled right up to the spot he wanted to park in. And I'd never snow skied. I have no clothes for this. I have no money. Right. I'm making maybe probably $400 that week. Right. And Scott's like, well, you have to learn how to ski. I said, I don't have any clothes for all that, and I can't afford all that. He said, that's no problem. So he marched me in to the Lost and Found and just put an outfit on me, put like helmets and gloves like that, and it's all other people's stuff. And I'm like, Scott, this is someone's stuff. Right. And I'm going to be skiing, quote, skiing, more like falling down a mountain with someone's stuff on me. He goes, well, then they'll be happy because they'll go, those are my gloves. And if they're not smart enough to come to Lost and Found, that's on them, Kathleen.
True that. Yep.
And I said, well, only if they agree to let me put it all back. I don't like being involved in your crimes, Scott. I'm a rule follower. I don't. It was all innocent. Yeah. But there's just, Banksy's right. Like, if you do it with an air of confidence and don't get nervous,
nobody's going to ask anything.
Most people don't question stuff. Mm-mm. Yeah.
No, I think it's cool.
Anyway.
Good man.
Moving on. Holy shit, they found it. Holy shit, they found it.
Oh, God.
A dragon that everyone thought was extinct has been found again in the wild.
What?
Yep.
A dragon?
Yeah.
Stop it.
He's a tiny dragon. Tiny dragon. I want one as a pet.
What? No.
How long is 15 centimeters?
That long.
This long?
Yep.
Like
Little
7 inches?
No. Like
Less?
Like 4.
Giggle it. How many inches is 17 centimeters? You should know this. You know metrics.
Centimeters that big. 10 decimeters.
10 decimeters? I don't care about that.
It's about 7 inches.
7 inches long.
Yep.
Would you like to have a 7-inch dragon? I would.
Yes.
They were once widespread.
Does it breathe fire?
I don't know yet.
No.
In the native grasslands west of Melbourne, Australia. But over the years, they were understood to become extinct thanks to habitat loss and predators like foxes and feral cats. Chapo, one of my cats today, ate a skink. And if you don't know what a skink is, it looks like a slimy lizard. I'd never heard of him. He ate he ate it. And then he came up on the porch licking his lips. And then he drank like 8 gallons of water. So I guess they're salty. Gross. Feral cats eat these things. Anyway. However, Environment Minister Ingrid Stitt announced the surviving populations of the species has been found. This is an amazing discovery and offers an opportunity for us to recover a species once thought lost to our state and the world. With the help of our partners, we will continue to fight the extinction of this critically endangered species, ensuring future generations can see them and learn about this incredibly unique lizard. Not sure why they said dragon.
I'll take it.
Because it kind of looks like a dragon. It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
The location of the rediscovered population is being kept secret to protect the habitat and the species. That is a good idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, you can't tell the general public where these things are at. Like, they put bobcats on Kiowa Island, and then they had a live feed because they had monitors on them, or whatever, tags or whatever. And they did it live. Well, then the hunter people came out to kill a bobcat. Yeah. So they had to delay the feed. They should have thought of that before they did it, but whatever, they did it. This is kind of fun if you're a regular old construction worker in Rome. They discovered, first of all, if the dirt moved and I saw this, I would be like, body, dead person. Because it looks so much like a real head that I think of at least a few people probably pissed in their pants when the mud rolled over. Tradies, they call them, I guess that's construction workers, have unearthed a splendid and intact marble head during works in the historic center of Rome. The city's mayor, Roberto somebody, shared details of the incredible find. Roma continues to return the precious evidence of its past. A splendid intact marble head was found during the works in the Piazza Augusto Imperatore, supervised by so-and-so, he wrote, referring. This thing is in perfect shape. They said that the newly found head of elegant workmanship is likely to belong to a female divinity, perhaps. They don't know which one. They name like it. It shows a refined hairstyle of hair gathered back thanks to a tiana, a ribbon knotted at the top of the head, he said in a statement. The head, carved in Greek marble, was found intact in the foundation of a late wall on the eastern side of the piazza that's currently being worked on. Reused as building material, it lay face down, protected by a clay bank on which the foundation of the wall rests. He said the reuse of the sculptural works was a very common practice in the Middle Ages, which allowed, in this case, the successful preservation of a work of art. What a fun day that would be if you're out there sweating your ass off in Rome. Cool. Well, it's fun until you realize it's not an actual human head.
Right.
It's just a marble thing.
It's a marble thing. Get it.
News.
Oh, that's not a very big
News!
Wow. Glad you got your voice back.
Mm-hmm.
It's me.
I'm the problem, it's me. She wears short skirts, I wear...
I'm still not present.
Here's some Americans I don't understand. America, what is wrong with you? Death Valley threatens temperature records, but the tourists keep coming.
I saw that. It's crazy.
They almost shouldn't tell them what the temperature is going to be.
130 degrees. They're getting their picture taken.
Well, I would have to put up a giant sign.
This is beer tent.
A giant sign that says, if your dumbass gets lost or runs out of water, no help is coming.
Exactly.
And then right there, I'd have a nice table of water and some beers, even though you shouldn't drink alcohol in that kind of heat. And I'd have a conversation with them about why they should go home.
Right.
Let's think this through. Come on, children. Temperature in the famously sizzling Death Valley. It's already called Death Valley. It's as advertised.
Yep.
Things die out here.
Right.
Things that live here die out here. Things that lizards, snakes, things that can handle this still die out here.
Right.
Temperatures in the famous sizzling Death Valley are now predicted to equal or even break modern records this weekend. This is happening as I speak. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm addicted to the Weather Channel lately. There's so much going on with the Canadian fires, the smoke. The sky in Nashville is all messed up.
It's crazy.
New York looked ridiculous yesterday.
We haven't had a sunset in ages.
No, the sunsets, although sometimes they get that fire look in them. They're kind of even crazier. Anyway, the U.S. Southwest is currently trapped under an unrelenting heat wave with the extreme temperatures forecast to climb even higher in the coming days. In the national park, the thermometer could climb past 130, Death Valley. But that won't deter some willing to brave the heat. Okay, that's one way to write that sentence. Willing to brave the heat. No. Opting to die is what I would say. That won't deter some opting to die. I corrected that from this article from The Guardian.
Okay.
Daniel so-and-so snapped a photo earlier this week of a famed thermometer outside the aptly named Furnace Creek Visitor Center after challenging himself to a run in the sweltering heat. What a...
It's a moron. It's a moron.
Yeah. Most visitors make it only a short distance to any site in the park, which bills itself as the lowest, hottest, driest place on earth. I don't know. At somewhere in Iraq, it was 151 at the airport. Somewhere in the Persian Gulf. Yeah, I saw it yesterday. I don't think they can take off. Planes can't take off. Well, Ron used to tell me that about.
I'm not sure Ron would know.
Ron knew because Ron had Tater Air. He had his own airplane, Tater Air. Ron White's Tater Air. And
Is it a planter now?
it's probably a planter. There's probably just pot. There's probably just filled with pot growing out of every. It was a tiny little thing. I went in it a couple times, and each time I thought, this is a terrible mistake, Kathleen. Don't do this. But I did it. Anyway, signs at hiking trails advise you against venturing out after 10 a.m., though the nighttime temperatures are still expected to be over 90. Well, that's the other thing, especially for, like, Midwest people or East Coast people that don't. One of the times I went to Palm Springs with Lewis, we rocked up to this golf course at like 5 o'clock in the evening. It was hot, very, like 102. But if you're not from there, you get out and you're like, well, it's not that bad because it doesn't feel like the Midwest humidity. There's no humidity. But I also said, yeah, but Lewis, there's no other golfers here. Maybe there's a reason. Right. And he's like, well, no, it's 5 o'clock. It'll get cooler. And I thought that too. I thought, oh, well, he's right. Well, like 8 holes in, I have the guy kept handing me cooled down towels. And I'm like, dude, I'm good. I don't need, what do you think's going to happen? Right. Well, I know what he thought was, I found out. It doesn't necessarily get cooler till like midnight versus if you said on a summer night in the South or the Midwest or the East, it doesn't work. The desert doesn't work that way sometimes. The hottest temperature ever recorded at Death Valley was 134 in 1913. So we have been this hot before.
13, wow.
1913, yeah.
So there's no global warming.
Right. Well, right. There's no global warming except everything's on fire and nobody can go to Europe because it's too hot. Right. And you can't go to the Southwest because it's too hot.
Nope.
And you can come to Missouri.
Everything's fine.
It's fine.
Everything's fine.
It's fine. News! I have to think of a different way to say that for that segment. Okay, full disclosure, my friend Andrew Dorfman and his children, they're all in their 20s now, and my friend Brian would do this too, Little Dorf, they have gone python hunting in the Everglades.
What?
Yeah.
Stop it.
Oh, no. They are not afraid of snakes. They like it. They love it. They love it. You like it. You love it. You like it. You love it. One time, Andrew jumped off my dock because he saw a snake, like an animal. He jumped off the dock to try to catch it.
I mean,
yeah.
Your friends are weird.
I do have very weird friends. But
fun, though.
everybody brings something positive to my life.
Thank you.
So this reminded me of them. This would have been the greatest day of their life, Andrew and his kids. Record-breaking Burmese python, as long as a giraffe, is caught in Florida. And it's 2 youngsters. Well, the one guy's young. They're both pretty young. Wow. Stephen Gatta and Jake Wallery brought a 19-foot-long python to the Conservation Department of Southwest Florida in Naples to have it measured and studied. You get paid. They have hunts where you get... So anyway, quickly...
Do you get to make boots?
I don't know if you... I don't know what they do with it. Maybe the article will say. I didn't read the whole thing yet.
I mean, not that I like that.
You want a snakeskin boot?
I'm terrified of snakes.
I'm terrified.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's the longest ever one recorded. These 2. Yeah. But see, back like 20 years ago, people started dumping their little pet pythons that just turned into giant pythons, and then they realized, oh shit, I have to find a rabbit every week for this thing to eat. Right. Like, it gets pricey, it gets insane. The snake gets too big, they panic, they throw it in the Everglades. Well, the population goes bananas, or they flush it down the toilet, and then it ends up in somebody else's house, scaring the shit out of somebody. But they have like 100 eggs per birth, so the Everglades is now taken over by these pythons, and it doesn't have a natural predator except maybe an alligator. But they will eat the pumas. I mean, even the cougars won't.
What will?
The pythons.
Will eat a cougar?
Absolutely.
Oh, my God.
They constrict it and then kill it. Well, the babies. I don't know about an adult one. But anyway, it's a problem. It's disturbing the whole ecosystem, according to what everyone says. Obviously, this is not my area of expertise. Anyway, it was caught last Monday. I want to know how they got it in their car. It was 125 pounds. A video of his record.
125 pounds?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's 19 foot long. It's as big as a giraffe.
I know. I saw it on Instagram.
Oh. A record-breaking catch on Instagram shows the python lunging at Wallery as he pulls the snake onto the road by its tail. First of all, people forget too. Yes, they're constrictors, and no, they're not poisonous, but they can bite you, and the amount of bacteria I'm sure in their bite is enough to send you to the hospital, for sure. They wrestled on the ground. This man, and the snake wrestled on the ground until others joined to help peel the snake off the hunter. The previous record was 18 feet 9 inches, weighed 104. The biggest one ever, the fattest one ever was 215, but it wasn't the longest. Burmese pythons feast on Florida wildlife, big and small, from rabbits to house pets to foxes to white-tailed deer.
Very dear.
Oh, my God. One Instagram clip from 2022 shows Florida scientists removing a 5-foot-long alligator from an 18-foot python. The state hosts an annual competition, the Florida Python Challenge, in efforts to keep the population at bay. The competition attracts professional hunters and amateurs alike, competing for prize money ranging from $1,000 to $10,000.
That's ridiculous.
It's an invasive species running rampant through much of southern Florida. They're wreaking havoc on the state's native animal populations because pythons have no natural predators in Florida, which is why Wallery spends his nights hunting these monstrous predators. It's awesome to be able to make an impact on South Florida's environment. We love this ecosystem, and we're trying to preserve it as much as possible. Good for him. It's just, well, good for him. But, 7 million more to go.
Look at that.
Maybe we could think of a different way than having him and his buddy go hand catch them. Right. It's 2023. Do we have any ideas from scientists? Yeah. Smart people? Any ideas? Smart people?
Instead of Gatorland, you can have pythons.
Smart people?
Python.
News.
We really got to work on that.
I got to work on that.
Yeah. I know you've lost your voice. So.
News. No, my voice is good.
Well, now it is.
Richard Simmons has spoken.
What?
Now, for you younger termites, Richard
God.
Simmons was this exercise guru, and he was always on shows and Letterman, but then he just kind of disappeared. Yep. And there's a whole podcast about it. Yep. And I listened to it on some road gig in between stuff, because I was like, well, there's rumors that he's been being held hostage by his housekeeper. My thought was, I bet he just got chubby and was like, I am not dealing with that anymore. Right? Up, down. He was a chubby kid. Then he got skinny. And then it was all, let's run around in a leotard, a onesie, and jump and sweat into the oldies and all that. Or maybe he's just getting old and went, I don't want to play anymore. Right. Let me just stay home with my dogs. And, well, he's been very quiet, leading to, but Richard Simmons made an extremely rare public statement on Thursday to celebrate his 75th birthday.
75?
Yep. Although he didn't share a personal message with the public and his fans, he did allow his representatives to speak on his behalf. Mm-hmm. This is a big milestone. I just want to see him happy, which he is, said his rep, Tom Esty, about the special occasion. It's a rare form of communication from the former fitness guru who's largely hidden from the public since 2014.
Wow.
So we're going on 10 years.
I remember that. Yep.
He was previously spotted in 2017 when he checked himself out of a hospital for being treated for severe indigestion.
Come on.
I think he had a knee issue too.
Yeah.
But all old people do.
He did a lot of sweat into the oldies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He tried to avoid being seen by nearly covering himself head to toe with a blanket, which then required his housekeeper to lead him to a waiting car. See, that's too much. Now you've taken the costume too far. Just wear a ball cap, put your hair in a ponytail, put it up if it's still long.
Yep.
It's doable. Put on a suit and tie. Nobody would think that's you. Despite Simmons' recent reclusive years, fans showed that he was still in their hearts and mind when they dropped by his home on Thursday. Well, you don't need to be doing that to wish him a happy 5th birthday in person. Although they likely did not see him, 2 people were spotted carrying balloons with a sign, "Happy birthday, Richard, we love you." His abandonment from the spotlight shocked many friends and admirers at the time, and even generated an investigative podcast. Yes, that's what I listened to. Documentaries and half-baked claims that his housekeeper was holding him hostage. He's done a few interviews. He spends time at home in his yard. I think he had Great Danes. He had some. Google what kind of dogs.
Burmese. What are those Bernese dogs?
Bernese mountain dogs. Google what kind of dogs does. Yeah, they're big.
Yeah.
Then it just goes through his resume. But yeah. So at least his representative says so.
He has 3 Dalmatians.
3 Dalmatians.
Yeah.
Oh, well, how cute is that?
Yeah.
I'd want to stay home too.
People are still wondering about his sexual orientation.
They're still wondering about his sexual orientation. Okay, well, that's on you people then. Sad news. Yeah. Sad. The oldest craft brewery in the United States is shutting down after 127 years.
What? Ah!
Yeah.
Why?
COVID got them. And it's one of my favorite beers. Until I left the state of Missouri, because Missouri is mostly Anheuser-Busch products. Well, especially St. Louis. We didn't really go off campus drinking with our beers. And then when I started comedy, and I'd go to other cities and other towns, like I got to Denver, and I'd never had my Fat Tire. And then you go to Philly, and you have, everybody's got their thing. But this was one I had on the road. I think my friend Tony introduced me to it. Anchor Steam.
Oh my God, really?
Yep.
Oh.
Pour out one for Anchor Brewing, America's oldest craft brewery, shutting down after 127 years in business. The San Francisco-based company announced Wednesday it's ceasing operations and liquidating the beloved business following a combination of challenging economic factors and declining sales since 2016. Craft brewers, in particular, have been struggling for a variety of reasons. Well, how about also because there's now 9 billion craft breweries? I mean, there's like, if you go, which I do, go into a local liquor store in whatever town you're in, that's why I always just choose, or termites bring them, and then I just taste one on the podcast. There's so many, it's completely out of hand. So, yeah. Another problem has been Sapporo, the Japanese beer company that bought the brand. Sapporo. I said it wrong. And yeah, I like Sapporo though. But anyway, they bought it in 2017. Their alleged mismanagement and lack of understanding of craft beer in the United States contributed to the downfall. It's a sad decision. 61 people were given the legally mandated 60-day notice. That sucks. Yeah. Sapporo had made repeated efforts over the last year to sell the business. I'm surprised nobody would want to buy that. Anchor got its start in 1896 in San Francisco. It was the first ever craft brewing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fritz Maytag, yes, just what you're thinking. A descendant of the Maytag Corporation bought it in 1965 when it was on the verge of bankruptcy. 65! And helped usher in the craft beer industry in the United States. Its most notable brew was Steam Beer, a pale ale. Never had it.
Never heard of it.
No. I know Anchor Steam. So that's a little So if you like Anchor Steam or any of their other product, what else do I see here? It doesn't really say. Go get it before they stop. I mean, go to your grocery store, buy a case of it.
We can't hear. Maybe a termite will find some on the West Coast.
Termites can find some. Yeah. I'm sure of it.
We'll share our last.
Yeah.
That stinks.
It totally. This made me laugh my ass off. Okay. Well, I'm going to save that one for next week, actually. Flying car! News! This should be an update. Flying car company granted FAA certificate. Aims for 2025 release. Wow. California-based Aeronautics says it's working on a car that will be street legal with the vertical takeoff and landing capabilities.
That's pretty cool.
We're excited to receive this certification from the FAA. CEO Jim so-and-so said, it allows us to move closer to bringing people to an environmentally friendly and faster commute, saving individuals and companies hours each week. This is one small step for planes, one giant step for cars. That's right. It'll have a flight range of 110 miles. It's being designed to fit within the existing urban infrastructure for driving and parking. And it has flight stabilization systems and safety features such as an enclosed propellers and a full vehicle ballistic parachute.
Oh my God. Can you imagine just
The 2-occupant car has been on pre-order since the fall, and they hope to start delivering the cars by late 2025. They're only $300,000. Now, for what you're getting, that's not very much.
True.
Because there's a brand new Denali all souped out is $100.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe these go faster.
Pre-order deposits ranging from $150 to $1,500. Maybe I'll go put a deposit, and then I'll get a loan, and then I'll make one of the children come over and drive it. I wouldn't get in one of these for at least 5 years, maybe 10, because I don't know. The company said it has received.
What's the speed limit up there?
I don't know what the speed limit is, and like, I mean, can I just fly around downtown St. Louis?
No.
Or am I going to get in trouble?
Well,
It doesn't seem like it's.
I wouldn't worry about it.
I don't really see how it's been worked out yet.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
Okay.
This is crazy. Yeah, you know, I'm very interested in art news. I don't even know why. I don't even own anything that's valuable. I think because it's such a bizarre. Well, I like to paint, but I'm not like really an artist. Like,
Yes, you are.
No,
Yeah,
I mean, like,
yeah,
no.
it's great.
Do you want a picture? I have painted a beagle sitting at a bar. You want that? Nobody wants that.
I want that. I think it's wonderful. Yeah.
This is going to be the most expensive painting ever auctioned in Europe. And I'm embarrassed to say I never even heard of Gustav Klimt. Klimt, Klimt. This painting was on his easel when he died in 1918. And it is beautiful. It's a lady, and there's flowers, but it's like a lady with a fan.
It's called The Lady with the Fan.
The lady with the fan, but the colors. It could be the most expensive painting auction in Europe.
Oh, wow.
But what makes it a masterpiece? An Australian symbolist painter, Gustav Klimt, is best known for immortalizing opulence of such milestones of modern art at his gold leaf-encrusted canvases. The Kiss. Well, we don't need to know about all this. But this is what was sitting on his easel when he died from pneumonia as a result of the flu in February 1918, a month after suffering a devastating stroke that left him partially paralyzed and unable to paint. That is, it's expected to fetch the highest auction price ever for a painting when it's sold next week. So I just read about this last week, so it's happening this week. Radically different in texture and tone from his better-known pieces. It's expected to get $83 million.
$83 million?
I would think it would get more. What? There's so many billionaire people.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll sell for $200 million 5 years from now.
True.
There's only one.
Yeah.
He's dead. He ain't painting no more. Then sometimes these art articles though, then they go into a $5 billion, 5-paragraph thing about the painting that like normal people are like whatever. It's one of the very few portraits by him, by Klimt, a leading figure of the Vienna Secession art movement, to be owned privately. It was last sold in 1994 when it fetched $11 million. So it's gone up $70 million. Wow. Probably. 30 years later, it's expected to command nearly 7 times like that, becoming the most expensive portraits to ever come to auction. It will soar past René Magritte's L'Empire de Lumière, which sold for $75 million. Do you like the way I said that? L'Empire de Lumière.
Yeah.
I took French in high school. I can manage that. In 2022. So I'll let you termites know what it goes for. I would think some bazillionaire would just march in and go, what do they want? 80? If you have 83, you have 100 million.
Right.
Just do it.
Yeah.
That's something I would pay to hang in the house. Like, I would want that in my house versus buying the world's tiniest purse that you can't even see. That's, that kind of shit.
You got a Taylor Swift poster. You don't know that.
I'm going to have to make a special trip to Michael's to frame a Taylor Swift poster. No, I'm not doing that. Oh, you're going to do it for me? Okay. You do it for me. Stamps are going up. News, alert, all of my old people friends.
They're going to be so mad. Oh, so mad.
I will defend the post office till the day I die. Cost of postage stamps is going up by 3 cents on Sunday. That's the third price hike in the last 12 months. Why it matters, it's the 17th rate change since 2000, the shortest time between stamps increases in postal history. The post office said in April that the increases, if you've never heard my joke about the post office, go online, wherever you get your music, we'll put it in the show. Yep. And I still stand by that joke. The Postal said in April that it increases raised first-class mail by approximately 5%. I always wondered the people that won't buy the first-class mail. It's like 3 cents difference. Right. I mean, nah, fuck it. I ain't doing it.
Not doing it.
Yep. Let it go as slowly as possible. They need it to address continued elevated inflation for prior years, defecting pricing modeling. Boring. Sunday, July 9th, this goes into effect. It's going to be 63 cents versus 60. Postcards.
3 more cents.
Postcards are sent domestically are 51. My friend Jim McDonald, shout out, comedian, sends me a postcard every week. Jim, I just got more expensive. International postcards are $1.50. But you know what? I have a friend who has a special needs adult sister. And I said, well, would she like to get mail? Because I used to send all my nieces and nephews postcards, and they don't care anymore. They don't care about where Aunt Cat is or what Aunt Cat does, or they just don't give a shit, which is totally normal and part of growing up. But I thought, well, then I made this promise to do it gladly. Nobody sells postcards anymore. No airport. You have to go to weird, like, gas stations. It's strange. I guess I never noticed when they phased them out. I guess nobody wants to send them because now we send each other pictures and whatever. So
Snapchat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you on TikTok? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on TikTok. Yeah. I don't know why. I think I need to turn off the notification because I signed up for Snapchat, but I don't really do it. But I get these notifications at the top of my phone. Mary V is on Snapchat, right? I don't give a shit. I got to go in and fix that. All right, I'm going to tell you.
People are yelling at you to start
posting on Threads?
Yeah. I'm waiting for you.
I don't know, guys. Are we doing that? Are we moving over to Zuckerberg? I mean, the devil you know, the devil you don't.
Well,
do I stay with Elon? Who's worse?
Let's vote.
Probably Elon. I don't know.
Seems a little less stable.
It seems less stable, but Mark Zuckerberg doesn't seem real.
No,
he's like an avatar of a human.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know.
Just saying.
I don't know.
Just reporting back.
All right. Well, termites feedback. Are we going to Threads? Or are we stopping? Is social media declining?
Don't get off Instagram. I like your Instagram.
I'm not going to get off Instagram.
You have fun with that.
The children don't go to Facebook anymore. No. I put things on Facebook for people over 40. Honestly. 50. Paddle says 50 over 50. No, because people like my sister, all their kids' sports and all that stuff are tied up in Facebook, so they still go on Facebook.
They're forced to.
They have to. Otherwise, you're going to miss your softball practice.
We'll ask the termites. Top 2.
15-foot python escapes in California. It's still loose.
Another python?
Another one.
Oh, my God.
It's in Chatsworth, California, and I know exactly where that's at because that's where my first manager, who I loved more than anything, Bernie, he's still alive. He's just not my manager anymore because he quit to go do other things that were more fun. Well, really, he was my second manager. He was great. But then, honestly, Rosie O'Donnell got her show, and then he went to New York to do all that. And I said, if you're doing that all day and all night, you don't have time for my, what about me headlining the Omaha Funny Bone, Bernie?
What you going to do?
Anyway, he lived in Chatsworth.
Okay.
It's a suburb of Los Angeles. It's kind of far suburb, but it is a suburb nonetheless. The reticulated python, fittingly named Big Mama, escaped from its cage in the family's backyard. Oh, it was in the family's backyard in a cage.
Big Mama.
The owner, Alex, put on Facebook, she's friendly to humans. What?
Yeah, I don't even understand that.
At about 8 inches thick. 15-foot long python.
That's ridiculous.
He added a warning to residents. She was just fed, but please be aware she has the potential to eat cats, medium and small dogs. Hence, she is a constrictor. Wow. She's light in color. I feel so bad. Something simple. He left the cage unlocked.
Oh my God.
Yep. Despite his assurances in Facebook that neighbors shouldn't fear the python, he told the news outlet that the reptile, which is not venomous, could potentially cause harm. Is she dangerous to humans? Yeah. She's a constrictor, right? Oh. She does like to coil and compress.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's called killing me.
These should be...
They're offering $1,000 reward to anybody who helps locate it. Wow. We're pretty anxious because some people are not very fond of reptiles, and we're pretty scared that somebody might harm it. His neighbors are not happy. We're just fearful for our lives, actually, for the lives of our pets and our families. Something might happen. Yeah, I'm not going to put my 2-year-old out in the backyard. No way.
That's crazy.
Yeah. We're wondering how this could have happened in the first place. Wherever she's at, she's probably trying to preserve her energy and is holed up somewhere comfortable. Stop it. That's what he's decided.
Oh, my God. Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous.
Just, if you're in Chatsworth, I'd find out where Alex lives. I'd go on your local Facebook page, and then I would think super hard about letting my dog or cat outside.
Don't do it.
All right. This is our last story. This is a crazy one. It's a good one to end on.
The Alabama one?
Yeah. Waitress wins $10 million lottery, and all hell breaks loose. This is such a great story. I like the way who wrote this, Sean Kernan.
It's great.
It all began in a dying Alabama town. The Grand Bay Waffle House was filled with hungry customers.
It's always got to start with a Waffle House.
Everything good and bad starts at a Waffle House.
Yeah, you're right.
All good and bad stories. And in rural, or especially the South, all stories start at Waffle House.
Yeah, they do.
Most were working class, many were retired. The sound and smell of frying bacon drifted out of the busy kitchen. Donna, that's her name, was in her late 20s. She's a divorced single mother who left her abusive husband a few years prior. She now lived hand to mouth, working 5 shifts a week. By the way, I read somebody did a thing about working at Waffle House, and they just don't make enough to put up with what they put up with. So if you go in a Waffle House and anybody is there cooking or waiting tables, be nice to them.
Yes.
They make them even pay for their own anti-slip shoes. They don't even give you a uniform budget. Oh, no, this lady did it. She worked. Oh. She went and got hired on purpose to write the story. Yeah. And Seward finished his meal and tipped Tonda with a lottery ticket, a customer, that he bought in Florida during one of his routes. And so began a snowball of events that would make a great movie script. Unlike most lottery winners, she chose to take 30 annual payments of $375,000 rather than a lump payment of $4 million. She was young enough to enjoy the payments and knew this would help prevent her from blowing all the money too soon. She quit her job at the Waffle House for the time being. Then things began to unravel.
Dun, dun.
This is a great story for a bedtime story if your child's over the age of 5.
Exactly.
First, 4 fellow waitresses sued Tonda, saying they had a joint agreement to split any lottery winnings from tickets customers gave them. No.
Nobody did that. Stop it.
I don't believe that.
No, they only said that.
At court, the waitresses brought in a customer who said she'd heard Tonda mention the agreement to her. Tonda contested the customer wasn't real. It was a friend they brought to help win the case. Right. So far, I'm just ruling for Tonda.
Right.
The courts ruled against Tonda, saying she must split the earnings. Well, I wouldn't have done that. You have no proof other than a bullshit witness that anybody ever said that.
Right.
Now, she could have been kind and given him some money, but to split it equally? No, that guy gave that to her as a tip. Unless the rule at Waffle House is you pool your tips.
Yep.
But I don't think that doesn't seem to be the rule. I always thought, when I waited tables, I always thought pooling tips was bullshit.
Totally bullshit.
Yeah,
because
some of us work faster and harder, and some do not. Nope. Right. That's where, anyway. Yeah. Then an Alabama district court overturned the ruling, saying the agreement was built on gambling, which is illegal in their district. Oh, now we're getting technical. One would think this was a moment of relief for Tanya, but it was only the beginning of her problems. Her Waffle House customer, Edward Seward, learned Tanya won the lottery and called the lawyer to sue for his share of the money. He claimed Tanya had said, "I'll buy you a new truck if I win with this ticket."
Nobody did that. No. You know that. Nobody did.
Or you do it as a joke. You go, Whatever you want, I'll buy if we win $1 million. Yeah, woo. And there's a pesky thing called promissory estoppel. ESTOPPEL. I've never seen that word.
Yeah.
Where you can be held accountable for an oral promise if the court sees it is reasonable. Seward's problem. If you tip someone with a lottery ticket, it is statistically a very low value tip. And the rare chance that they'll win, you can't reasonably expect a partial return. Right.
Right.
His case was quickly rejected. Good. Then things got worse.
Okay.
And then Tanya's abusive ex-husband learns she won the lottery. He shows up and kidnaps her.
What is going on in Alabama?
Alabama, hold my beer, says Florida. I mean, it's not funny. Nobody should be kidnapped, but this has gotten so crazy. He shows up and kidnaps her, keeping her at the wheel and forcing her to drive. He says he's going to kill her. They begin to drive to a remote region in the boonies of Alabama. 20 minutes into the drive, he took a phone call, and he was distracted. Tanya pulled out a gun and threatened to shoot him. He lunged at her to take the gun. Before he could grab it, she pulled the trigger, sending a bullet into his chest. He managed to take the gun from her. At her urging, they went to the hospital to get him treatment. He managed to survive, but was sentenced to a brief stint in prison. Tanya's story, though dramatic, has many parallels to other lottery winners. People consistently turn up out of the woodwork trying to get a piece of the money. Many, many families have been torn apart because of a jackpot. The lottery turns people into parasites.
Here's the other thing. Your odds of winning are pretty slim. So he's just a shitty tipper.
Here's a shitty tip. It's a total shitty tip.
Yes.
Here's a $2 scratch off.
Yes.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Here's some other lottery winning stories. This is great. One man invested $3 million in a meth ring and lost all of his money. Well, maybe you shouldn't invest in meth.
In a meth ring?
Michael so-and-so, I won't say his last name, won $12 million. He spent all the money on prostitutes, drugs, and a destruction derby track in his backyard.
Good for him. Jesus. People are crazy.
Another man from Pennsylvania, he won 16.2 in 1988, and then his girlfriend sued him, and his brother hired a hitman to kill him. He eventually died broke. Okay. The conclusion to Tanya's story. Fortunately, Tanya had more luck with her long-term story than most. She settled a lawsuit with the IRS over her winnings and whether she owed a gift tax because the ticket was given to her. The IRS investigates 100% of big lottery winnings, so plan on hearing from them if you strike it rich. She also did what most lotteries did. Winners should do. She kept working. I read up on dozens of lottery winners for the article. The healthiest and happiest ones were the ones who stayed busy and kept working. Early retirement is a fast track to going broke. Tanya is now dealing cards at a casino and gets her annual lottery check. Unfortunately, she wasn't killed by her ex-husband and doesn't let the windfall of cash...
Was he arrested?
Yeah, he had to go to prison for that.
Well, that's good.
For a while. I'm sure he's out.
Yeah. Alabama's a little lenient on that shit.
Fortunately, she wasn't killed by her ex-husband and doesn't let the windfall of cash ruin her familiar relationships.
Shout out to Waffle House workers.
Shout out to Waffle House workers. Thank God you guys are there.
Yeah.
Because I'm not good with a griddle.
No.
I'm good with a frying pan, but not with a griddle.
Smothered and something.
So we're going to have a separate little podcast. Tiny podcast. If you want to hear all about TayTay, the details. If you don't, you didn't have to sit through it. Where am I going? Well, first of all, new summer t-shirts will be available next week. Yep. And new trucker hats within the next few weeks. So keep going to the website. Or I'll put it out there when it's all ready. It's just not done yet.
No.
Here's where I'm going.
Okay.
Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom. Very excited.
Yep.
Cape Cod Melody Tent.
That's going to be crazy fun.
Yeah, I have friends, and my nephews are coming with their friends. Boise, Idaho. Reno, Nevada. Hershey, PA. Pittsburgh. Cleveland. Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Madison, Wisconsin. Chicago Theater. That's called a marquee venue. Some of my venues are not marquee.
With Aaron Weber.
Yeah, Aaron Weber. Richmond, Virginia. Yep. Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm going to the Warner. That's another marquee one too. In DC. That's very exciting. And it's all, yeah. And then we're going to get this,
Yeah, that hasn't been announced yet.
Oh, it hasn't been announced yet. Well, I didn't say when, so therefore I didn't announce it. So nobody can yell at me.
Right.
I'm gonna stop saying that shit when tickets are on sale.
Go
to your website.
I think it's on the Warner's been announced that tickets are on sale. Yes, it has. It's almost sold out. We just got a balcony to fill. Yes, the whole bottom and the whole next thing is sold out. But the whole thing, there's good seat. There's no bad seat in that house, for real. I say that, and I mean it.
It is. Good for you.
Yeah, it's on sale.
October 21st.
October 21st.
What a wonderful Friday night that'll be.
See? I know what's happening. All right, termites. I hope you're having a fun summer. There's a storm rolling through here I'm super fired up about. Love a summer storm.
Yep.
And I'm fortunate enough to have a nice porch to watch. But when shit hits the fan, you can't stay out there.
Nope.
And that's it. All right.